Again, I'm here by myself today, Lucci, a little under the weather, so I'm going to try to man this ship on my own. And today we're going to focus on how Wiseguy action can help you deal and get through these choppy markets. And I mean exactly what we're in right now. All right, how can it keep you disciplined, regardless of what type of trader you are? And how we can provide you that edge. You know, in these webinars, I've mentioned how Wiseguy activity gives you that little edge that's needed to keep yourself disciplined, to know where the momentum is on a daily basis in this market. We'll go over some examples of me pointing that out. And, you know, I want to touch on a couple different things. If you guys, we'll do some Q&A you know, after I go through a couple of examples, but if you guys want to throw in the question box, just what type of trader you are, okay? I mean, if you're a day trader of equities, of options, you're swing trading, futures, just so I can touch on that per se, all right? And because that's the one thing that people really don't get a grasp on, how you know, Wiseguy Flow can assist you in whatever style of trading you do. All right, a lot of people think you have to swing trade options, okay? Or a lot of people, you know, misinterpret the information, think it's unusual activity and just tail those specific orders. And it's not that, okay? Wiseguy activity is used and best used as an indicator. All right, it's got nothing to do with tailing big bets or unusual bets. It's an indicator of possible momentum coming into the underlying, okay, or the ETF or the markets, whatever the case may be. So any indicator you guys have ever used out there, whether it's, you know, Elliott waves, a MACD, RSI, you name it. All right, in my opinion, this is the most consistent, the most powerful indicator you're going to come across. I mean, it's the only one I've come across over my 20 plus years in this game. All right, and the reason why is because a good percentage of names that have been signaled off Wiseguy indicator, in other words, if an aggressive call sweep comes into XYZ, I would say on an average, okay, off the top of my head, 70 to 75% of those names, you're going to see some sort of reaction. Okay, sometimes an immediate reaction. And, you know, you can't really say that about many other indicators out there, right? I mean, a MACD crosses, you're not going to see it in price. Elliott waves, 5 ways down, sometimes, but you're not necessarily going to see a consistent reaction, immediate reaction in price. So, you know, there are reasons why I label this, you know, an indicator and how it can be used and be a powerful tool no matter what type of trader you are. All right, so, and in these markets right now, we're dealing with a lot of chop. And when we are in choppy markets, our emotions get the best of us. All right, we come in with a bias. Because of all the noise around us, whether it's CNBC, Bloomberg, Twitter, social media, you know, we're reading and hearing all these things throughout the day, and they're in our minds, okay? And a lot of times it has us react accordingly to everything we've read and heard, and 9 out of 10 times that's completely wrong, okay? Because again, the public, the mass is almost always wrong in this game. This game is structured to take the money of the masses. All right, so, and this indicator, the Wiseguy indicator, I'll give you an example for myself. All right, guys, I got gambler blood in me. All right, I wouldn't deny that one bit. And the reason why I found God with this information is because it kept me disciplined as a trader. Otherwise, you know, and I lean to the bull side throughout my whole career, so I'm looking to catch every single dip out there. I would be buying every pullback in the market and rear end handed to me. All right, so the Wiseguy flow keeps me in check and will show me when and where there's an opportunity and a good probability of what I'm looking for. Right, and I know it can be a little bit confusing at first, but when you see a couple examples and what I'm about to show you, you'll see exactly what I'm talking about. All right, and the S&P 500, you could see, I mean, every retail trader out there, right? When we're going through a bull trend like this, our emotions get the best of us. We want to buy, go long everything, because we feel strongly like we're going to new highs and we're never going to have any consolidation or a pullback. And then the first consolidation or a pullback, like we're in right now, that bias, that bearish bias, all right, that takes over, automatically, traders think we're going back to new lows and there's an Armageddon situation. Where in reality, okay, it's neither. We're in an in-between. And you could see that right now, okay? We're trending a bit lower, but there's a lot of chop there. Okay, so even if you're bearish and you want to catch the bearish side, it's not going to be that easy, especially when you're trading options, because you're going to have a lot of these squeezes and your premium just gets soaked up. All right, so here's an example. All right, and I'm going to go right into the steam room itself and just give you an idea of how I interpret the flow, all right, on a daily basis and what I'm looking for. All right, because again, to reiterate, I'm not looking at each individual bet as an individual bet. Yeah, there are certain bets that stand out. Okay, some bets are sharper, more aggressive than others, and certain situations I want to take action on, but it's about putting the whole picture together. Okay, what the flow's telling us today as a whole, what the flow's been telling us, up until today, and it's putting that all together and then coming up with a game plan to try to take advantage of it and make some money. And let me go quickly to this, okay? Because we had nothing but bullish flow. Literally every day the tote board, okay, and what I mean by the tote board is the alert screen in the steam room chat, was lit up every single day in green, okay, from the Bazooka Joe lows, as I like to call them. Okay, so ever since they came in here, sweeping huge size, millions and millions of dollars on the call side, being bought aggressively, throughout this whole move higher, there's been nothing but bull flow. Okay, yeah, there were some put bets here and there, okay, probably protection or whatever you want to call them, it's irrelevant. But overall, the flow was extremely bullish. Okay, and as we got probably to around this situation here, and really that last Fed meeting, things started to change. The flow started to change. All right, we started to see aggressive VXX call sweepers. We started to see bets like this, okay, on April 25th. Some guy came out and swept multiple exchanges, a really aggressive bet, and got involved August 31 calls and put almost $2 million there. Okay, so this was not only an aggressive bet, it was a size bet. As you can see here, it was 7 times usual volume. When it was all said and done, it was up to 15 times normal flow. All right, and the significance of this bet is what he actually is looking to get long. This is not something you see in a bull trend, okay? This is the Direxion daily semiconductor bearish side. All right, so this is triple leveraged bearish semiconductors. All right, so just think of it logically. For a guy to pump $2 million into something like this as a bet against the semiconductors, I mean, that's as aggressive as you're going to get there. Okay, so again, this bet in itself is, you don't even necessarily have to take action on the SOXS itself. I didn't. All right, but what it told me is it kept me in check. All right, my bullish bias went out the window, and it told me to just be a little more selective. Now, I'm day trading, so it's a little bit different. But if you were a swing trader, this type of action tells you to sit on your hands and do nothing on the long side. Sit on your hands and do nothing. You don't have to short. If you want to short, it's a window of opportunity. But if you were long, it was telling you to keep a close eye and be careful here. That's simple. I don't care what this bet ends up doing by August. That's irrelevant. I might not even remember this bet come August. Okay, but for now, it told you that if you were long and had a bullish bias, it put you in check. Okay, it told you to be careful on the long side. And we started seeing more action like that. We saw SPXS was another one. Somebody came in and swept calls on. All right, and this stuff, you know, this is all stuff I elaborate on in the chat room, in the Steam room. When alerts go off like this, you know, we talk about this on a daily basis throughout the day, constantly. You know, we have morning webinars, we discuss it. Twice a week we have aftermarket webinars, we discuss it. All right, so it's not something that, if you're not familiar with Wiseguy action, it's not something you just have to come in and be able to interpret, because I'm offering the commentary and the color behind it. All right, but the bottom line is it told us to be cautious as far as longs. Okay, something changed from this whole bull run where there was nothing but aggressive bullish action to the upside. Now it told us, okay, April 25th, right around here. And everything looks totally normal up until then, right? But it told us to start to be careful. All right, if you were a little too heavily long, if you were had a basket of calls, or if you had long positions on, you may want to trim that down. You may want to get into more cash, whatever the case may be. So, and that's my example, guys, that you don't have to trade options for this information to be useful to you. Okay, whether you trade futures, contracts, calls, puts, the underlying stock, whatever it was, it still, as an indicator, did its job. All right, and that's what we've been seeing. The flow has been messy. Okay, the flow has been messy. There hasn't been sharp buying. There's been a lot of put action. There's been some dip buying here and there, okay, but nowhere near what we want to see. So nothing has changed since that bearish signal that the Wiseguy activity showed us at the end of April. All right, so now that's on an overall basis, right? That's on an overall basis. Wiseguy flow can prevent you from getting chopped up into pieces. Okay, it indicated to us to chill. Now, on an intraday basis, I'll show you exactly of what I look for. I'm a day trader, okay, and how it keeps me in check, how it keeps me disciplined. I look to day trade every day, okay? I'm a big fan of call sweepers into weakness on an intraday basis, okay, looking to buy weakness and sell the move, sell the strength. So use Friday for an example of what went on. Friday, we opened up quiet, nothing really significant. All right, there was some bullish action. Cores, as you can see here at 1018, was something I traded. What happened there, Cores is a retailer. The retailers got smashed, as most of you probably know. All right, and actually caught some decent buying right before the close on Thursday. All right, I really couldn't take advantage of it much because it was late in the day and really didn't have much room to react and so forth. But Cores was on my radar already, because if I seen any weakness, any buying, you know, additional buying come into weakness, it would be something I'm looking to trade. All right, and that's how I look at it. And right off the bat, the retailers just got smashed, right? Everything in the group got destroyed. Cores got down. You name a retailer, got smoked. All right, but what happened was at 10:18 I mentioned? Yeah, 10:18, a weekly sweeper, okay, sweeping weeklies that expire that day, came in and aggressively swept some weekly calls. All right, and right after that, there was a call spread that opened. You could see here, okay, 10:19 a.m. Cores, cheap weekly sweeper playing a bounce. 2,500 of the weekly calls expiring that day for 15 cents. Now, the way I interpret that bet is simple. Somebody's looking to play a short-term bounce over the extreme short term into the core's weakness. All right, and then you can see literally 7 minutes right after that, a player comes in, he buys the weekly 6-3, 41.5 calls, and sells the 47.5 calls, opens a decent-sized call spread for cores. Okay, so again, a little after 10 o'clock, and you can see it was right around here. Oh, I don't want to do that. All right, so in this range here. So as a day trader, I'm looking to get in. I'm trading the stock itself. I'm just using me as an example. I'm looking to get in here, put my stop. It doesn't have to be any set percentage number. It doesn't have to be a dollar amount. You got to kind of use your judgment. Okay, if the market's choppy, you may want to keep your position a little bit smaller so you can stay looser, so you don't get stopped out for no reason whatsoever. All right, but just use your best judgment. I mean, if cores would have retraced and gone on and made a new low for the day and started pushing lower, I would have stopped myself out, and that's it. I take a loss and move on. Simple. All right, but here's what I was looking for the upside. As you can see, the stock traded nicely and grinded higher throughout the whole morning. All right, and as a day trader, guys, everybody wants to hit home runs. You got to understand something. And, you know, when you're focusing on day trading options, yes, you need a decent move, okay, for the option to react. I understand that. So you got to be a little more selective. But for guys like me who are day trading stock, and I'm sure there's a lot of you out there, I mean, this move is more than enough to take advantage of. I didn't catch this whole move. I caught half this move, and I'm a happy camper. All right, and there's a number of things you can do. This is an ATR stop. You can ride that higher, or you can raise your stop loss. Again, a variety of things you can do, whatever you feel comfortable. I'm sure you had some sort of style before you've come into the room, per se, and utilized Wiseguy action as an indicator. But here's a perfect example of how it can be a powerful edge for day trading. And in my opinion, that's where the true edge lies, because it's the least amount of risk. And like I said, there's no other intraday indicator out there that you will see this type of reaction almost immediately, guys. It's just a matter of how much of a move you're going to get out of it. Okay, and the answer to that question is really difficult because it depends on a lot of things, right? It depends on the market. I mean, if this thing rallied to here and the markets completely fell apart, okay, and the retail sector started seeing heavy selling again, I doubt Coors is going to be the only retailer that bucks the trend higher. All right, so again, when you're using this as an indicator, you can't just tail orders and that's it. There has to be a game plan. You have to take into account the flow around that bet, the market conditions, and so forth. All right, and this set up a great opportunity. We're in a chop fest of a market. There was weakness in the retailers. They're going to bounce, and that core sweep and that call spread immediately after that was a perfect signal for a bounce in cores. All right, and I'll give you another trade that I took that was a little more difficult. But again, when used as an indicator, it could be quite efficient. All right, we had the Netflix at 11:44. Somebody comes in and sweeps $2.5 million plus of the September 85 calls in the money calls. All right, so let's just look at Netflix here on a daily basis. You can see Netflix has been beat up. Okay, ever since earnings, the stock has been melting. So somebody comes in here and makes a significant and aggressive bet on September calls. Now, the way I interpret that action is somebody really likes this thing, but went all the way out to September. Okay, so now off that single bet, I said to myself, with the market not strong, okay, the flow is nothing special, I don't think there's a good chance that we're going to see a strong reaction off that bet. to line up a day trade opportunity. So I sat back. Okay, I didn't pull the trigger. I sat back and I said to myself, if I start seeing any front month action or additional sharp action come in, maybe, I'll take a shot. And then that's what happened. All right, then at 11:52, 8 minutes later, maybe the same guy, but somebody comes in and sweeps August 85 calls for another 2.3 million. So that right there, okay, when I see 5 million plus come in, even though they're August, September calls, I say to myself, you know what, it's worth a shot for a day trade to try to take advantage of the steam. All right, and the way I look at it is, one, the market makers are going to react, okay, because that's two significant sharp bets that they're going to look to hedge. All right, and then once they hedge, word of mouth, sharp action in Netflix can create some steam. It's going to start popping up on retail radars eventually, may create additional steam. So it was worth the shot, in my opinion, okay, my interpretation, was worth the shot to get in Netflix for a day trade. Now, being that they're August, September calls, I'm just looking to sell the steam, guys. I'm not looking to ride this thing throughout the course of the day. If they were in May, June calls, yeah, I think this thing could have exploded. But being that they were so far out, okay, I was just looking to day trade the actual steam off this thing. All right, and then you can see here, 3 minutes after that, I was already in the stock. They come in and pump another 2.5 million. All right, so that was the final confirmation that this thing would be in play for at least a push, a tradable push. And let's go back here because it was over here, and let me blow it up for you guys here a bit so you can see. All right. So here it is. All right, the buying was in this consolidation here. And the last piece of buying came in on this little dip here. Okay, now if you didn't react on that order flow, it's fine. If you thought August and September was too far out for a day trade, that's fine. There's no big deal. You just missed a trade. You didn't miss anything crazy. All right, but the situation, my interpretation was we'll see some upside. I got in. I stayed a little bit smaller because Netflix is a little more of a volatile name. All right, as far as me looking where to stop myself out to the downside. But just almost immediately after that third bet, this thing started kicking into gear in a market that really wasn't participating. Okay, the market was absolutely dead. And the flow wasn't bullish. So it had two things against it. But you could see, all right, the entry here, I mean, this is a tradable move. All right, this is a tradable move. And if you stick to the reference price of the alerts, 87 and a quarter, $87, again, it got up over $88. And you don't need to catch the top. I sold it before it actually made that high. You could sell it when you see some weakness starting to come in, or use your judgment as far as the markets are concerned. But again, it was an indication that Netflix might have a reaction, might have some steam off some sharp aggressive bets that came in the underlying. And that's all it is. All right? It's showing us where the momentum may go. Otherwise, where the hell how do we find where the momentum is on a daily basis? I couldn't. All right? And how it keeps me disciplined, I mean, this is a perfect example. I traded cores in Netflix, and that's it. And that's it. And granted, I'm only focused on call side action. I don't short, especially in, bull markets, or I'm mostly on the long side, predominantly on the long side, and trading equity. But these are the only two things I traded. There were a couple other names you could have traded. They actually went well. I didn't think it was worth my while. I was trying to be more selective in the choppy market. All right, so let's say the opposite now. Let's say you were looking for a short opportunity, right? The market's a mess. There's been some bearish flow. You're looking to play the downside on an intraday basis. Lucci, who's not here, under the weather, he would tell you he had a perfect trade in the afternoon. Perfect. That's what he was focused on throughout the day. Okay? He sat patient and waited and waited. And then in the afternoon, things started lining up where the market, okay, started to show some selling. But again, we don't know where the squeezes are going to come in, right? You see some enormous squeezes. I mean, look at these things. But the flow was painting a different picture. All right, you can see Netflix, ENDP, that was another solid day trade I didn't partake in. VMW, another solid long side day trade I didn't partake in. And you can see there's some green on the board. But things start to change here. Okay, as you can see at 12:30, you start seeing more red and red on the board here. All right, and even the bullish action was tiny. An $18,000 sweeper in Yelp. SPY put sweepers coming in, GE, EMR, aggressive put sweepers came into that name, Apple. So you started seeing some ETF and some major names, high beta names, catching some aggressive put buying. And Lucci already was starting to position on the short side, and he killed it Friday afternoon, killed it to the downside. As you could see, you know, started at 12 and then boom. That's when this market just fell apart. Just fell apart. All right, and me as a day trader on the long side, seeing all this red kept me disciplined enough from trying to play any bounce. Without this Wiseguy flow, guys, I would have been trying to play this bounce. You know, I would have tried to come in here for a bounce, in here for a bounce. That's just who I am. I would have gotten buried. Okay, so even though I come in with a bullish bias, the Wiseguy action kept me in check. Told me to sit there and do nothing. All right, I'm not going to tail a small AKS $3 call sweeper out in September when everything else is red on the top board. Okay, I want things to line up. I want the market to be stable. I want to see some bullish activity come in. You know, I want to see a name line up that I've been looking at. Maybe it's had some solid action prior to the day. So, and you can see, I'm showing here, these are up because 50,000, 29,000, nibblers in the airlines, nibblers in the OIH, Pepsi caught algo sweepers out the wazoo, Lamar, $600,000 put bet. I mean, there's no way I was looking to tail anything on the call side. There wasn't much to tail anyway. All right, so that's how this information, when used properly, okay, can help you, can keep you disciplined, all right, and keep that bias that we all have. No matter what you do, you're going to have a bias. You're going to come in and want to get long or get short. All right, but this is how that Wiseguy action can keep that in check and help you stay away from losing money and getting chopped up. Now, as far as swing trading is concerned, when the flow is like this, you really just don't want to participate in much. All right, because listen, swinging is difficult to. You add a pullback and choppiness into the equation, and you're trying to trade options. I mean, it doesn't get more difficult than that, guys. All right, so the Wiseguy flow can be a very useful tool for swing trading and swing trading options or future trade, whatever you want to call it. But you have to wait for things to line up. All right, if you're looking to swing trade shorts or on the put side, now is a fine time to do it, but you gotta understand it's choppy out there. So you got to look, you know, to short into rallies, or look to if you're intraday trading, short into these, you know, buy that we see on a daily basis. All right, but shorting is a tough game, especially as far as swing trading is concerned. But if you're swing trading on the long side, you have to be more selective, and you have to wait for, as I like to call it, the sweet spot to line up. And that sweet spot consists of oversold conditions, sharp bullish action coming in, all right, and the market's stabilizing a bit. So hypothetically, the Netflix, right? That's a good example. Some really sharp August and September action. But, you know, over the next month, if the flow stays the way it is, all right, and there's not much buying coming in, which is the case, and the markets are choppy and leaning to the weak side, it's going to be hard for Netflix to buck that trend. So maybe it's better you wait, sit, and wait for things to line up before you get involved. All right, some of the guys I worked with in the past that are swing traders or position traders and use Wiseguy Flow on a daily basis. The way they use it as every night, all right, they go home, they scan for certain charts or whatever they like to look for every single night. They come in with a couple names that have set up for them, and they use the Wiseguy Flow as confirmation, as an indicator. All right, so again, hypothetical. Let's say you like the setup in Netflix. All right, let's say whatever else you look at, chart, this, fundamentals, whatever it may be, you came into Friday saying, you know what, I want to look for an entry in Netflix. I'm not sure where. That action Friday would be your confirmation. Doesn't mean you're going to be right, but if it met your criteria already, okay, you can use the activity as a confirmation indicator. And a lot of guys I've worked with who successfully trade off Wiseguy Flow, that's primarily how they use it, both on the long and the short side. They have a complete list of names that they're looking for action to come into, and when they see an aggressive bet, they use that bet as an indicator. And you could do that with day trading as well, guys. All right? If Netflix is a name you like to day trade, and you see that sharp action come in on Friday, there's your go-ahead. If Facebook is a name that you like to day trade, all right, you like to day trade the FANG names, the Wiseguy Flow will signal when the momentum is in those names. I mean, you know, a lot of people like to trade Facebook every single day. I even see it, you know, as far as members are concerned. And they get chopped up because there's not momentum in Facebook every single day. But I also know, you know, again, guys I've worked with in the past before the Steam Room per se and all that stuff, that trade these high beta names, and they wait for sweeper action, Wiseguy action to come into those names, and only trade it when that action is there. And if there's no action in the high beta and FANG names, that's a good enough reason for them to stay aside and stay away. And that's how this information is used properly, as an indicator. Forget the bets. We all like to get tied up into the bets. All of us. Ooh, that guy just put $1 million into that. That's going to go to the moon. This is not that. Okay, this is not that. This is not unusual activity scanner. When you're not signing up to tail alerts. This is not that. This is taking the whole flow, all right, to get a gauge on sentiment, to set up opportunities for you as a day trader, swing trader, to keep you in check, to keep you disciplined, to keep that bias that we already have from getting the better end of you and causing you to lose money. That's what this is for. All right, and you know, again, if you have any questions, now is the time to ask. All right, because a lot of times, you know, I try to get this point across so many times, and people still get hung up on on the bets and treat it, you know, as unusual activity and should I tail this, should I tail that? It should show you a lot, guys, that I'm not even tailing the contracts. I'm day trading the underlying, right? And there's a reason why I do that. All right, so let's get into some questions here. I hope I got my point across. Maybe I missed on something. Whatever type of trader you are, let me know. Okay, I see some of you guys already mentioned it in the room. If I didn't touch on it, I'll touch on it now as I'm sifting through questions. But there's not a style of trading that this can't be an asset to you when used properly. Again, when you use it properly. All right, let's roll some questions. I see, all right, Alwyn is a futures trader. And Alwyn, you know, there's, I mean, several ways when trading futures that this indicator can be useful to you. Several ways. Whether from SPY or major ETF sweeps, okay, especially into weakness. That's one of my favorite trades when we see SPY sweepers come in into a sell-off. I love that trade. Right? If you're trading futures, I mean, that's where you can hit home runs. And again, even just in general, taking the whole ball of wax, the flow as it's coming in real time, painting the picture of the market setup for that day. You know, I use that example of Lucci on Friday. He was already starting a short position, but once the flow started to turn, that gave him the confidence to get heavy. Okay, and that's how Lucci uses this flow best. He's not tailing any orders. That's what he looks to do. When he looks for the flow to confirm what he's looking at already. He did it with the IBB. We use that as examples in past webinars, okay? He was looking for a trade on this IBB. He was staring at it for a couple weeks, if I'm not mistaken. And you can see we were in this, we came down here, got beaten the hell out of, no real rally, and we entered this little chop consolidation phase where it looked like it might break out here, no. Might break out here, no. And meanwhile, you know, if you tried to take a shot call side, you would have got beat up. If you were trying to get a trade there, you know, on the ETF itself, you would have been stopped out several times. There was no idea, no clue. You know, how do we know when that momentum's coming into IBB? But when on that day where it saw multiple call sweepers come in, all playing front month, 280, 290 calls, that's what gave Lucci the confidence and the confirmation for a trade. In other words, the Wiseguy action helped him avoid all this chop. And then right here was the spot he was looking for to get in. And he got in heavy. All right, and he smashed it even just on the day trade alone. Some guys took a swing out of it, you know, for a couple of days and they had a nice move. If you're looking for more than this, I can't help you. Sometimes it will happen, but no, you can't expect it. All right, and another example of that is that XBI. All right, that came in after the IBB action. So we saw multiple sweepers in IBB, and then we saw some action, decent action, come into XBI. Okay, and this was right at the open. I think it was down that day. I day traded. It was a great day trade. Several members day traded it. Couple of guys swing traded it. But look, if you fell in love with the bet, and here's a perfect example, if you fell in love with the bet as a swing, you didn't lock in these profits, and look where you are now. So this is a perfect example. Forget the bet. Once the indicator signals to you to make a move, okay, and it lines up to what you're looking at, make the move. After that initial steam that usually comes off the aggressive action, the trade is in your hands as a swing trader. That bet's not going to save you. And we have no idea what these guys are doing behind the scenes. Right? Did they short the ETF against it? Did they roll? Did they do this? Did they do that? We have no clue. But when you use it as an indicator, you're not even asking those questions. You understand? You're not even asking those questions because they're irrelevant. All right. Hager's asking, who's speaking now? It's Wall Street Jesus. Lucci's a little bit under the weather. That's why it doesn't sound like saying Lucci. Mike has a question. Hey, Jay, maybe off topic or subject for another time, but can you talk about the ATR trailing stop? Never seen that before. Yeah, it's something that I use, Mike, but not as much as I should, because I look to sell, as a day trader, I look to sell that initial rip, okay? And I'll give you, let's cores as an example. And I'll tell you what I mean by that. All right, so here was the cores entry. Now, let's say you really like that setup in cores, okay? They were weak. You really felt that this thing could bounce nicely, and you really wanted to give this trade a little more room. In other words, as a day trader, you didn't want to just sell this rip off the action. You wanted to try to get a little bit more out of this. This ATR stop can be used as a guide for us who are not disciplined, Mike, as you know, to give us an opportunity to ride out things a little bit further. Okay, you can see here, this is an ATR on a 1-minute chart. I like to use that. You can go further out minute-wise. You can use like a 3-minute if you want to give it a little bit more room to try to catch, the bigger move. But the 1 minute allows you to not sell something, which I always do for no reason, right? I sold this move in cores where there really wasn't any reason to sell it. And if I use that ATR as a guide, I could have got a decent amount more for it. Okay, so it's not magic, Mike, by no means, but as a guide, it just helps letting winners, allow us to let winners run. I have a big problem with it because, I'm content with selling this because I know from my experience, a lot of the aggressive Wiseguy action will have some sort of reaction like this. You know what I mean? Where a move higher, certain things have to line up. And they can go your way, like a market bounce or the retail sector, a legitimate bounce. But I'm so content with taking this as a day trader and have had so much success just looking for this as a day trader that it's been so hard for me to use these, this ATR stop as a guide. I do like to use it a little bit more in trending markets. Okay, so like in the rally we just had from the lows, I use the ATR stop as a guide a lot more than I would normally. Like in chop like this, I very rarely use it because I don't want to lose this profit. So I hope that answers the question. If not, Mike, you know where to hit me up. And this is on Thinkorswim, by the way. I think there are other software programs where the ATR. But Thinkorswim has a nice clean version of it. You can have the red, green, and all that garbage. All right, what other questions we got here? Anybody else? What were your thoughts on the massive bets on AGN this week? Did you tailor for a day trade, or would you buy some common to wait and see? Joe, honestly, the AGN bet, they were size, right? They were big size. The only problem with that is the market conditions, or the market conditions. That's the problem. If biotech gets beaten to hell, where, they were buying some biotech the last couple of days. But if this market turns for the worse and biotech follows suit, I doubt AGN is going to be the lone biotech that trades higher off some size bets. And AGN is used to catching size. If we were in a bullish trend right now, I would say, yeah, it's probably worth a swing trade, without a doubt. And it may still be worth a swing trade. But again, if the market turns for worse, it's going to be a drag. That's the problem. All right, what else we got? Futures, day trade, swing trade. I went over, futures. I mean, there are futures traders in this room. And if you use this intel the way you're supposed to, you will find a great deal of success. You know what the problem is? I see, and I'm not going to mention names, I saw a couple futures traders come in, all right? They signed up, maybe to the discount trial or whatever the case may be, and, they wanted to show how strong they were, and they would short markets, get short the market or short S&P futures when there was bullish sweeper action. They short when there were VXX put sweepers. And the reason why I remember it is because I would say to myself, what is this guy doing? What is he doing? Why are you in this room? If the flow is signaling one thing, and strong signals nevertheless, it's telling you one thing, and you're going to, show how good you are and go against it? Okay, and the end of the story is they're not in the room anymore. And they probably got smashed. So when you use this information as, the asset it is, yeah, with futures, I mean, it can be a huge edge. You guys got to give it a chance, okay? I know with everything that's out there, you hear how everything is gold and everything's great and stock picks and all that, but this is not that, all right? I'm not telling you to tell my stock picks. I would never recommend that. That is a lose-lose situation, trust me. But if you keep an open mind and look and try to understand the Wiseguy flow the way I'm telling you right now, you will see. And there are a lot of members who gave it a chance and see the light. What else we got? What stocks and or options did you trade Friday? You're a day trader, and that's from Richie. Richie, I showed you the two, Coors and Netflix. All right, and if you're day trading if you're day trading stocks, they were money. If you're day trading options, I think the Coors weeklies exploded if you were looking to play those. And, of course, you would have looked to play weeklies because that's what he bought. So you wouldn't go out further than that. I don't know if the Netflix really did much option-wise, because they were hitting up August and Septembers. But if you're day trading, you're not going to buy August and Septembers. So you would look to buy weeklies and just day trade that steam. And again, because I'm day trading the underlying, I don't know if the Netflix weeklies, what kind of reaction they had off that steam. All right, there were other names that were big winners that I didn't take. I wish I did. But again, because of the flow and the market conditions, I'm trying to be a little bit more selective. This was the ENDP. Saw action, multiple sweepers right out of the gate throughout this whole little chop area here. This is a biotech, got beaten to hell. I'm scared of biotechs to begin with. That's one of the reasons I didn't day trade this. Caught some real aggressive action, and throughout almost every dip in this name, it caught action. And had a real nice move, strong move. Definitely a tradable move, day tradable move. VRX caught a little bit of action. You could have day traded that right out of the gate in the morning. What was the other? Oh, VMW was another big winner that I didn't take. You could see here, huge winner. A couple guys in the room actually had this one. I did not make a move off that bet. All right, and the name of the game with day trading is, guys, is just to win more than you lose. And when you do the right thing, you're going to win more than you lose in the long run. There's no question about it. If you buy at the right spot where the order came in and you look to take profits and not get greedy and manage your downside like you should no matter what you're doing, you will make money. Day trading. What else we got? Could you review the repeat Wiseguy action September XRT? Looks like just a hedge only. I don't know when. I don't know. One, it's an ETF. XRT is the retail ETF. Two, they're all the way out to September. Three, they were into retail earnings and sales numbers. So, that's like one of the reasons I don't play earnings. There's a lot of hedging, a lot of protection going on, and not only that, you will not see the same reaction off non-earnings related bets. And what I mean by that is just, again, a hypothetical. VMW catches a sweep here, but it captures earnings. Usually you won't see this type of reaction, where non-earning related names, you usually get that tradable steam. So again, when I don't try to read into the action that deeply. I don't see the reason to try and do that. How is that going to make me money? As a day trader, it has no effect. As a swing trader, the retail ETF out into September doesn't tell me much, especially, like I said, into retail earnings. If you see some retail sweeps starting to come in aggressively on front month side now, that may be an indication of some upward momentum in the retail space, but you want to see follow through in the individual names as well. Because we all know, ETF action, especially size ETF action, can definitely be a hedge. Bill saying, as a user, can you tailor the feed to only show certain symbols? That's a good question, Bill. We're working on a lot of things. I'll tell you what, with all due honesty, the St. Lucie gang every single day is working on the technology as far as the steam room is concerned. There are a lot of things coming. One where you'll be able to, for each individual symbol, click on it and you can see the commentary and the color that I offer on that symbol. A lot easier to search for, flow, past flow in a symbol. We have a feedback option here at feedback. You have any requests, just throw them in there. They run it by me, and if it's attainable, they'll do it. But they are working. It's quite soon where you could just type in a symbol, Bill, and pull up all that action, if that helps. All right, because what you're probably getting at is you probably just trade a specific group of names and only are looking to focus on action in those names. All right, it's good and bad because in a way you want to see the flow around it. Okay, when you're not getting hung up on each and every individual bet, you want to see the flow around every single bet because it tells you a lot about the market. All right, Friday, we were weak and the flow showed us, possibly getting weaker as the afternoon went on. But many times you'll see divergence between the flow and what the indices are doing. The Bazooka Joe lows, as I like to call them, was a perfect example of that. What we saw that day was the market ready to fall out of bed, okay, and into the lows, literally into the lows, some huge sweeper bets in IWM, Apple, Facebook, QQQ, SPY, into the lows throughout the whole afternoon. Okay, and it was so different than what price was doing that even myself, who has been trading, successfully off this information, it was even hard for me to put on a long position while the markets were falling apart that day. But once that fourth or fifth bet came in, we were seeing $4 million IWM bets. Once I seen a decent amount of them, I got long some TNA and stuff like that. But my point is there was huge divergence, and that's what sets up the nice opportunities. When the indices are doing one thing, but the flow's telling you something different. Another example of that would be the markets making intraday lows, okay, looking like crap, excuse my French, and then we start seeing VXX, put sweepers. All right, members will vouch for that. We see that a lot. They come in and start sweeping weekly VXX puts aggressively. And that's one of the stronger indications out there that there's a squeeze right around the corner. So, you know, I understand where you're getting at, where you might want to concentrate on a couple symbols, but the overall flow tells you a lot as far as sharp money and aggressive sentiment out there. All right, but we are working on something where you could type in a symbol and instantaneously all the action and commentary will come up for that symbol, even in days past. All right, what do we got? Golden oil. Are you long? No, I'm not long anything. I'm a day trader, Jurgen, okay, but golden oil, without a doubt. I mean, if you're asking if Wiseguy action can help you as a trader in golden oil, there's no doubt about it. You know, we see gold action, we've seen it since November. You know, even the miners, I don't know if you follow that, this nugget bet was the talk of the town. They came in February, they came back in here aggressively in April, and this nugget got out of control. So, you know, you didn't have to tail the nugget per se. You could have won if you were looking to get long miners. In general, gold miners, you could have, you know, hit up any name you wanted at that point. ABX was catching huge action. The GDX, NEM, all right, and the GLD itself, we saw a lot of action back here was the initial action. And what we're seeing now are a lot of positions being rolled out later in the year. So everyone who got long on this trip, now they're taking those positions and pushing them out September into December months, which may indicate that we might be consolidating here. I may be looking a little too deeply into that, but you know, there's been a lot of rolling out and further out strikes there. All right, what else we got? ENDP has aggressive action on the 12th and again on the 13th. What do you look for to see when to get in? D, I don't know if you're referring to swing trading or day trading. All right, day trading, again, you can day trade any aggressive sweeper that you like. If you're talking about trading the stock, just stay around that reference price that I keep referring to. Okay, the reference price here is in the alert. So Netflix, for example, is $87.07. You know, a lot of times you won't be able to get that exact price. If you get cheaper, great, but just use that as a guide, as a reference. You know, don't go and chase $88 when they were sweeping at 87 if you're looking to day trade the stock. You want to sell that move. Okay, ENDP is a really risky biotech. I wouldn't advise swinging anything, especially in size, in those bio names. I mean, those things are landmines. You know, so as far as day trading, I'm even gun shy day trading the biotech names because you're one halt away from a disaster there. All right, Juliana, past flow in a symbol is going to be huge. Yeah, Juliana, it's been one of the more difficult things tech-wise for them. I'm not a tech guy, so I don't know the reason for it. What was great was private Twitter. I mean, they destroyed the one huge asset private Twitter was great for. You know, private Twitter, you just type in the symbol and all the action would come up. Now you can't do it on private accounts. You know, like my Wall Street Jesus account, you can do it. See, look, SOXS, and it's got all the SOXS tweets. But for some reason, this dumb private Twitter, you can't do it anymore. It was the one thing it was good for. So, but yeah, there are many things coming into the Steam Room chat that are just going to be huge, huge. We're working on, and again, I don't know how close this is, but we're working on an intraday put the call indicator that we can put right in the chat room. So every day on an intraday basis, you can utilize that put the call. I want to do it based off sweeps. That might be a little more difficult than just without it, but regardless, you'll have a put the call indicator there in what levels to use as a gauge of, and this is a perfect time. In a market that's choppy, where you want to get in and entry is so critical, just another important facet of this game, and where to try to get a better entry and trade that bounce. So many people love to, ride things when they're going higher, right? I mean, it's just, again, that emotion, the emotions getting the best of us. But in reality, it's buying weakness is where you make the money in this game. Especially when things line up, and that put the call, especially on an intraday basis, could be a huge asset in the Steam Room. Let's say somewhere in here, you could have a little window here with the put the call showing. Again, for day traders, it'd just be incredible. Any other questions here? Futures in certain names for options. Yeah, Bill, did I see that already? Well, Bill, like I said, if you're trading futures in certain names, again, that means you're going to have to be more selective, and you're only going to be able to trade those names when the action is there. I mean, you're going to trade those names, based on your own homework, obviously. But I'm saying, as far as using the Wiseguy action as an indicator, you're not going to see a Facebook sweep every day. But I'll tell you one thing: if you're long Facebook and you see a sharp Facebook sweeper coming in, and you're day trading Facebook, you're going to get excited. I'll tell you that much: you're going to get excited. We see it all day long. Jules is long Facebook. A sharp Facebook sweeper comes in, and create some steam for her to sell into some juice. So, but if you want to just stick with trading those names off the Wiseguy indicator, you just got to understand that there's not going to be action in those names throughout the whole entire day. All right, did I miss any questions? I apologize if I did. Like I said, this GoToWebinar, I'm not too efficient on here. I think I touched a lot of the important ones here. But again, guys, that's what I wanted to stress today, because it's a huge misconception. And not even people who sign up, just people on Twitter, and even new members. They come in looking for one thing, and they miss the big picture totally. All right, so we offer a $49 discount, a huge discount for the first month. All right, you can see right here. I'll put this link. Let me see if I could do that. Bear with me. All right, and paste. All right, we offer this discount for $49, okay? And if you keep an open mind, all right, stay patient and just try to get an idea and try to interpret the flow the way I'm explaining to you, using it as more of an indicator than as stock picks or tailing somebody else's orders. Because if one thing you get out of this webinar, okay, tailing other people's orders is going to end up being a nightmare for you. Trust me. All right, throughout my 20-plus years in this game, I have yet to see anybody capable of trading off somebody else's and tailing somebody else's orders and signals, okay, as far as buy and sell and specific names and make money consistently. It's just impossible. All right, everybody has different risk parameters, different account sizes. I mean, somebody could be red hot and be the best stock picker out there, but they're not hitting at 100% clip. And if you're only touching a portion of that guy's stock picks, it's very random. You could very easily touch only the losers. All right, so it doesn't work. This is not a stock picking service. I don't mention stock picks once. This is an incredible, especially if you're day trading, the most powerful real-time indicator you're going to find out there on an intraday basis. All right, and a great read on sentiment, and could be a huge and useful tool as far as you as a swing trader, and more importantly, in saving you money. Not making you money, but as a swing trader, saving you money and when to stay away from market conditions in certain names. All right, so like I said, I threw the link out there, I think. I don't even see it. Did I do it? I apologize, guys. I just have no clue when it comes to this stuff, but I think I threw the link in the box. All right, if you have any questions, hit me or Lucci up on Twitter. I can send you the link again there, okay? I appreciate everybody coming out on a Saturday especially. Enjoy your weekend, and thanks for coming, guys. I appreciate it.